Yes, we are live on Facebook and YouTube. Hello, Sandy, Carol, Chloe, how are you doing?
Hello.
Very well. Good morning or good evening.
Good, thank you.
Good. Happy to see you all. So we have to wait a few minutes, just our viewers can receive notification and join us. So let's wait.
Okay.
So, yes, our fans already join us. So, good evening, dear friends, Bishkek American fans. So, thank you very much for joining us today and welcome everyone to our panel presentation Little Free Libraries in Kyrgyzstan from Columbus and Denver to Bishkek. So, it's my great pleasure to introduce our guest speakers today US librarians Sandy Cohen, Carol Campbell, Chloe Campbell. So nice to
Hi.
see you all, and thank you very much for accepting the invitation and for your time. And thank you very much for your effortless, I mean, telling us about free little libraries. Thank you very much. Maybe it's time to start. What do you think, guys?
Yeah,
Sure.
sounds good.
Okay,
Great.
I'll see if I can get my.
So yes, here.
Can everybody see me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I'm Sandy Cohen. I'm from Columbus, Ohio, in the United States. It's 10 o'clock in the morning here. I'm going to talk a little bit about the history of Little Free Libraries and my small part in introducing them to Kyrgyzstan. The first Little Free Library was built by Todd Bowl in Hudson, Wisconsin in 2009. It was modeled after a one-room schoolhouse. It was a tribute to his mother, who was a teacher and loved to read. He filled it with books and put it on a post in his front yard. His neighbors and friends loved it, so he built several more and gave them away. Together with Rick Brooks from Madison, Wisconsin, they started making Little Free Libraries. It grew to become littlefreelibrary.org, a national nonprofit organization. There's now more than 100,000 Little Free Libraries in 100 countries, including Kyrgyzstan. All these libraries in the picture here are libraries in my neighborhood in Columbus, Ohio. My wife's a retired librarian from the Columbus Metropolitan Library. In 2011, she saw a news story about Little Free Libraries. We decided to build one. We opened our Little Free Library in November of 2011 and registered it with littlefreelibrary.org. Back then, we were number 178, and we were the first one on their website map in the state of Ohio. We've built 4 other Little Free Libraries. We made one for my mother in Michigan. That's the 2 on the left, 2 pictures on the left. She painted it and has the word for read in 20 languages on the side. We've built a couple others with friends or for friends. The one with the dragon on it is modeled after the J.R.R. Tolkien, The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings stories. In March 2013, we got a call from a friend who worked for the Columbus International Program. It's a group that brings professional people from around the world in many different fields to Columbus to share and learn from each other. Our friend said they had a group of librarians and information technology people from Kyrgyzstan. Could they come see our Little Free Library? We spent a few hours with them explaining how Little Free Libraries let people read and share books in neighborhoods around the world, often in places without many libraries. Our Kyrgyz librarian visitors said, "We can do this." Later that year, soon after they returned to Kyrgyzstan, we got an email with pictures of the new Little Free Libraries. Now the story gets interesting. Chloe Campbell, who you will hear from in a few minutes, was a Peace Corps volunteer in Kyrgyzstan and sent pictures of one of the Little Free Libraries to her mother, Carol, in Denver. You'll hear from her in a minute, too. She has a Little Free Library in her front yard. She posted the picture on the Little Free Library Facebook page. I saw the picture and replied, "I know about that Little Free Library." I explained my connection, and together we arranged to get their libraries in Kyrgyzstan registered with littlefreelibrary.org and placed on their website map. Many Little Free Libraries continually adapt to the needs of their communities. Some have added games and puzzles, mittens and gloves, food pantries, and flower and vegetable seed packets. A few have even added little free vegetable gardens next to their libraries with free veggies for your picking. Thank you. I look forward to hearing how your Little Free Libraries are doing.
Great. Thank you very much, Sandy, for your awesome presentation. And thank you for writing thank you in 3 languages. In Kyrgyz, in Russian, and in English. So it's awesome, wonderful. Thank you very much, Sandy. So, and also I almost forgot that, dear friends, please type your questions, any comments under this video, and our guest speakers will answer them after presentation. So thank you very much again. So now the floor is Chloe's.
Yes. Okay. Can you see my screen? Oh, let me go.
Yes.
Right at the beginning. I was testing it out. Sorry. Okay. So I'm going to be talking about the bridge component since I was the one serving in Kyrgyzstan and ran into that Little Free Library. So we're going to be talking about the Denver chapter with myself and my mom. So Sandy already mentioned, whenever I traveled around, I would always send photos of Little Free Libraries to my mom. So I traveled around to Taiwan. I sent her a picture there, Oman, sent her one there, Dubai, sent her one from there. But I was in the American corner in Bishkek picking up some of those American English book translation books and to bring them back to my school in Balakshi. And I was coming back down the lobby and I noticed, hey, there's a Little Free Library. So I took a picture and sent it to my mom. And we tracked down the date. That was in May of 2016. So it was pretty awesome. How many years later? Like 3 years later from when Sandy met the Kyrgyz librarians in Chopin. So then sent it to my mom, and she asked me to track down the owner and see if she could get help to get the libraries registered and get books. And she actually posted it to the Little Free Library Stewards Facebook page, and then Sandy chimed in. So I will turn it over to my mom to tell her side of the story. I can click next, Mom, on the screen for you.
Okay.
There you go.
So it was very exciting for me whenever I saw a picture that Chloe sent of a library from some, for me, exotic country. The library stewards have a community on the Facebook page, and although we're from all over the world, everybody gets super excited when somebody posts a photo of a library that they came across in another country. So I would post those pictures as Chloe sent them to me. And it was super fun for me when I posted the one from Bishkek, and Sandy commented that he knew all about it. And then to hear that story of the visiting in Columbus and getting a name of the librarian, because then Chloe was able to make connection with Chopin. And then it started this wonderful collaboration between the 4 of us to connect us in the United States, in Denver and in Columbus, with all of you in Bishkek. It was very wonderful. And for me as a mom with a daughter so far away from home, it made the world seem a lot smaller and a lot closer. It was quite lovely for me. You want to do the next slide?
Sure.
So Sandy took on the mission of getting the 3 libraries registered, and I took on the project of getting friends and family and other Little Free Library stewards from all over the United States to donate the books on the list that were being translated from English into Kyrgyz through the embassy. And so we spent some time, and we got a whole bunch of books from that year's, I guess it was the 2016 year list, I'm guessing, or 17. It must be 2017 list. Anyway, so we packed up a big box of books and the charters tags that Sandy had arranged for, and we shipped it all to Chloe. And then in December of 2017, you can do the next picture. They had a nice ceremony in Bishkek, and all the charter numbers got put on the libraries, and the books got put in the libraries, and it was very fun. Want to do the next slide?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was cool.
That was fun.
Yeah. So here's a little bit about my Little Free Library. I first heard about Little Free Libraries in 2012. A friend of mine had a milk crate, and he filled it with books, and he stuck it on a lawn chair on his sidewalk every day, and every evening he'd bring it back in, and he was putting out books for his neighbors. And I was so charmed when I heard that story, and he showed me that. So I looked up Little Free Libraries and got involved. And our family built this one you see on the screen in 2013. And we used, one of the things about Little Free Libraries is you don't have to spend a lot of money. They encourage the use of recycled materials. We used 2 old cabinets. We screwed them together, and leftover siding and roofing from working on our house. And then I used my grandmother's button collection to decorate my library. And I made a big library because I live across the street from 3 schools. And so we get a lot of children from little teeny school-age kids to grown-up kids in high school. And so I wanted to have all reading levels in my library. So we made a big, big library. It holds, like maybe 300 books. Next slide. So here we are screwing. I just wanted to show you, we built this ourselves and using recycled materials. That's my husband and my son. And there's my grandmother's button collection as the artwork on mine. People, next slide. People build their libraries all sorts of different ways. Sometimes they're small, like the size of a bread box, and they're just plain. And then sometimes they're painted very fancy and a lot of, detail and something that's very meaningful to them, like maybe a book they loved, or maybe if they live by the coast, they might do like this mermaid theme. Next slide. And then some libraries have funny roofs or creative doors. Some people build them to look like a school or a house or a church. Todd Bull, as Sandy showed you, his Little Free Library was made to look like an old schoolhouse in honor of his mom. So there are all sorts of them. Some Little Free Libraries can be an unusual shape, like this one. And then, or a police, if you know Doctor Who, this is the police box from Doctor Who, and that's a very popular theme for Little Free Libraries. They can look like a Viking. Mm-hmm. They can look like a robot. This one is, I think, everybody's favorite Little Free Library. They carved it out of an old tree that died in their front yard, and it's very large, and it's so beautiful. So that anyone can make a Little Free Library, and you can make it as simple as you want or as elaborate as you want. People just use their creativity and their imagination to create their library. So one of the other missions about Little Free Libraries not only is to encourage literacy through all the books, it's also building community. And some of the ways we've done that is we held a grand opening party when we invited friends and neighbors. We had 2 local authors come and sell their books and sign their books. A neighborhood business came and they gave out free snow cones. We had a decorated bike parade. We have neighborhood kids and adults come by every day for books. I restock 100 books a week in my library. And in order to do that, I have many friends, neighbors, schools, a bookstore that give me books all the time. I have 3 bookcases in my basement full of books waiting to go out into the library. So lots of partnership there with lots of people to create this asset for our neighborhood. And then I also bring a box of books. I have a farmer market business. I sell soap. I make soap. And I bring a box of books that have been in my library and maybe nobody took one for a while. And I'll bring those in a big box to the farmer market every week and let people take books at the farmer market too. And that's really fun. And the other thing I've done recently, because of the COVID-19 pandemic and kids were not in school anymore, is we created fairy houses and made little tiny books for the kids to enjoy. So Chloe, you want to show pictures?
Sure.
So here's some of the neighborhood kids that came by. These kids were from the Buddhist temple. They came by my house and I showed them how to make soap, and they all took a book home. And then there's a photo of the opening when we had our Little Free Library party when it first came. And here's a couple of our author friends signing their books. And there's our snow cones because it was summer. There's our little neighbor friend Luna, with her favorite book was The Giver. And so she decorated her bike like that. The box of books up at the top, that's I just bring a cardboard box and call it my annex. My Little Free Library number is 7526. And so quite a ways up from Sandy, who's 178. And then you guys are like 40,000 something, I seem to remember. Little Free Libraries now are in the 100,000 charter numbers. That's how much it's grown. And then here's a picture of some of my little neighborhood friends come over to my house once in a while, and we make bookmarks to put in the library. So again, building community, building connections in all these different ways. And then here's pictures of my little fairy house. And in the little one on the tree, they can open the door and there's these little tiny 1-inch books in there that I got a whole bunch of friends and neighbors to, I made a bunch of books, and then I gave them to them blank, and then they drew pictures and wrote stories. And so every few days I go switch out books in there, and there's 2 of them. And the kids, and when they come by to get books, they like to open the doors and read the little books. Sometimes they take them, sometimes they leave them. And then we have all these little fairy houses. I think I have 5 now around the Little Free Library, and they're made out of books. And I've made little fairies. It's just something fun and whimsical for the kids to enjoy and bring a little magic. So anyway, so from Columbus and Denver to Bishkek, Little Free Libraries build community and encourage literacy around the world. So,
Great.
I think your cat has something to say, Sandy. About it.
Thank you very much, dear Chloe, dear Carol, for an incredible presentation. I fell in love with this free little library. So many creative shapes and
Right?
colors, and decorations. It's
Right?
awesome.
Yeah.
Yes. So we started to receive the questions and comments. So let's check. So I want to read one comment. I definitely think we should make this project happen in my city, Osh. So
Nice.
how would I
Wonderful.
able to make this project happen in my city in Kyrgyzstan? And who should I email, talk to?
Do you want to take that, Sandy?
I guess you should talk to the people at American Corner who have 3 little free libraries and built them. And you can also find out about registering the libraries on the Little Free Library website and put them on the map. Getting your sign mailed to you might be a little more difficult, but if not, you can email one of us and we'll see if we can help you.
Yeah, we could help.
I can make a visit back down. It's time. I can go back. I can drop it off.
If I put the website on there, can you post it later? Can the link to the Little Free Library website?
littlefreelibrary.org.
So you can send me the link via private chat. So I will post in the comment
I'll
section.
do it now.
Yes. So thank you very much for your replies. So, and also the next comment, congratulations on this initiative, making reading and writing magical. Yes, so many people want to implement this project in their hometowns, and
Good.
wonderful.
Yay.
Yes, like we have very positive impact today for other people. So thank you very much. So the next question, what are the rules of using free little libraries?
There really are no rules. You put out books. Hopefully people take a book and read it and bring back the same book or a different book, but there are really no specific rules. Whatever you decide to do with your library and what you put in it and what kind of books you put in it, that's really up to you.
One of the little motto behind Little Free Library is take a book, return a book. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Take a book, leave a book, I think.
Yeah. But that doesn't happen very often. The books, people take the books and read them, and either they put them on their bookshelf or they pass them on to somebody else. So whatever books you put in your library, you have to have an open heart and know that they're going out into the world. Otherwise, you'll make yourself miserable if you try to control it. But that's why you get lots of friends and family and neighbors to help you stock the Little Free Library. So there's plenty of books and they can go out in the world. And lots of times what happens is people, when they clean out a bedroom or a child grows up, or they'll bring you a box of books or 3 boxes of books. And that makes up for many, many people taking a book and maybe not returning a book. So it all works out. It's wonderful. It's very wonderful.
Yeah, we found that adult books come back sometimes, or people put other adult books in it. Children's books don't tend to come back, but to me, that's the whole point, is getting in the hands of kids.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much, dear Chloe, Campbell, Sandy. So we can continue to ask the questions. So where does the funding for the Little Free Libraries come from?
Well, you have to, there is no funding. So your family make a library. They do have a program where the Little Free Library Organization does have a program where they will send a library, and and a box of books to different places. But I really don't know too much how that works. Sandy may know more. But mostly it's very independent. Like it's like you're the librarian. You get to control it the way you want to. So you could raise money or get, materials and create your library, and then you just get books and stick them in there. So it's very independent. Every steward, like Sandy's a steward and I'm a steward of a library. So we all just do our own thing.
You can, Little Free Library sells finished libraries or unfinished libraries or even kits. That's one way they raise money. You do have to pay to register your library and get a sign. Right now, I think it's $40 American. But you also don't necessarily have to charter it with Little Free Library. You can just start your own.
I came across a lot of those in other countries like Taiwan. They would have them in the community square, but they wouldn't be official registered Little Free Libraries. But it's still that same concept of here's a designated little space for books and to share literacy. Yeah.
Got it. So is it important to receive official registration?
Go ahead, Sandy.
I like the idea. We're supporting a nonprofit that, along with supporting all the stewards, has programs all over the United States of helping groups build libraries in inner cities or other places where there aren't many libraries. They have programs to help you get books at a reduced rate if you want to buy books. They donate a lot of libraries to places too. So I do like to support them.
I think another reason to be a registered Little Free Library is you get to be on the world map. And that was what was so exciting when Chloe saw the picture of the little yellow library in Bishkek. For me, and that's why I wanted to help get it registered, is because then you're on the world map and people can find you and you create interest and knowledge about your community. People then when they travel or they're just looking on the world map, it's quite fascinating to see where all the Little Free Libraries are around the world now. They're all over.
Yes, I understand. Thank you very much, everyone. So let's move to the next question. Are there any vandalism happening and the Little Free Libraries have destroyed?
Oh, destroyed?
Yes.
Well, I have some stories about that.
No, I mean vandalism. Maybe some of them can destroy the Free Little Libraries.
Bad things happening?
Yes.
Yeah. So my Little Free Library has been hit by a drunk driver. They crashed into it. It fell over, and we had to rebuild. We had to fix our fence and stand it back up and rebuild the door and repair it. People do goofy things sometimes, but I would say it's a minority. When we talk on the steward pages, most stewards have very positive experiences. And when somebody has an experience where their library gets damaged, like the door might get broken, or a hurricane happens, or a natural disaster or something, then we all try to help them get through it and comfort them and encourage them to rebuild and go on. Yeah. But people do goofy things. It does happen.
So what do you think about it, Sandy, Chloe?
We have not had any vandalism in ours. There have been several cases of vandalism. There have been several stewards who on the library page would talk about their library being destroyed by vandals, and then people from the neighborhood would help them rebuild it and get it going back within a week or two. So
yeah, it's that community aspect. If people are aware and you have that group that's supporting you and behind you, then slowly it will spread. And you can't let those people who are vandalizing it like bring it down and give up, because that's no good. But yeah, if you get support from, again, it's that community aspect and people have that buy-in and want to help and really like that there's free books in the community, then they'll support you.
Yes.
And it's a minority of bad happenings. The majority of Little Free Library stewards don't have a bad experience with vandalism.
That's good.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you very much. So the next question, how are the Little Free Libraries working during COVID-19, during the pandemic?
some people have closed their libraries. We have not. There's one in our neighborhood where all the books are in individual plastic bags. Sometimes people would take a book out and they'd take it home and wash it. But there is no official policy to close your library. It's really up to you and what works for you.
Yeah. And we took a survey on the Steward page. There was a big discussion in the beginning of the COVID-19 when things were shutting down. Big debate on the Steward page about what was the appropriate thing to do. And we took a poll, and most stewards kept their libraries open. I did. I felt it was super important to keep it open because the public libraries were closed. And I was like, well, for heaven's sakes, if there was ever a time where you really needed, schools were closed, public libraries are closed, and they still are. So we needed a source for books. And like at my library, sometimes at night, people will come in their jammies with a flashlight. And this is all the time, not just during COVID, but they'll be out there looking at night, because I don't have a light in mine. Some people have lights in their libraries. I don't. But anyway, they'll pull up in their car and they'll get out in their jammies and they'll open the door and they have a flashlight and they're looking for something to read, So I like taking care of my neighbors by making sure there's books.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Carol. So we can move to the next question. So what to do in the case of no returning the books? Maybe you have any tips or recommendation to avoid this?
Well, you need a big community of people donating books to you. So lots of networking. Most of the time when you tell your story about having a library, people just light up and, and they love donating books to the library. And you'll come home one day and there'll be, 3 big cardboard boxes full of books on your porch. And you don't know who gave them to you, but somebody who heard about your library and love reading like you do, they'll give you books, and you'll have books coming out of your ears, to share.
Well, the only books that we buy are kids' books sometimes, and we look for them at thrift stores or sometimes garage sales. When people's kids get older, there may be a house with 50 books. And
Yeah. So what kinds of books do you have in your Free Little Libraries?
So at my house, I have 3 shelves in my library, and on my top shelf, I have adult books, usually fiction, some nonfiction. And then on my middle shelf, I try to have books for like older middle school and high school students, so chapter books, and very exciting, older, like high school, what a high school person would want to read. And then on my bottom shelf, I have picture books, and I have nonfiction like gardening and cookbooks and like home repair or, kinds of books for adults, painting, all sorts of things. Oversized books, though.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We have all reading levels in our library.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
For different age and categories.
Yeah. Some of the library stewards will just have like their books will just be children. Their library will be just for children, or, you know, they'll specialize in something that's meaningful to them. You can steward your library any way you want.
Mm-hmm. So how about you, Sandy?
We have books for all ages. We have a lot of children's books. We have a school down the street, and lots of people in our neighborhood walk the dogs, the kids, or all kinds of things. So we really look for kids' books, but we also have adult books and graphic novels and other things for middle grade school kids, high school kids.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much for sharing this. So we can move to the next question. What a person should to do become a Little Free Library steward and officially register the library?
All you need to do is go to the website, and you have to have a steward number, which means you bought a sign, and then you just put in your information and you are a steward. And they give you the password to get into the Little Free Library Steward Facebook page.
Yeah.
Oh, great.
Yeah, I would say just start by building your library any way you want. And the more creative, you know, you don't have to, it doesn't have to look like anybody else's library. You create it to look like what you want to. You could have it really simple, you know, just a simple little box, or you can go crazy and, like I showed, you know, make it look like a robot, whatever you want, anything in between. So just build something, stick it in your yard, and start putting books in it. And then when you're ready, get it registered. And Chloe has her registration.
I do.
You want to talk about that?
So I want to be a Little Free Library steward and have one at my house in Fort Collins in Colorado. But I got the registration, so I'm technically a steward, but I don't have my library built yet. So I'm looking for, I want to do something similar to what my parents did. Find an old piece of furniture as the base and then build something on top of that. But I like Harry Potter, so maybe something Harry Potter themed, if you know those awesome, fantastical stories. Probably something Harry Potter themed.
Yeah. So Chloe and her dad need to find a weekend where they build her library. But yeah.
Wow. I'm looking forward to see Little Free Library dedicated to Harry Potter.
I'll send you photos.
So it would be great. So thank you very much, everyone, for sharing, for your valuable information. And we can move to the next question. So we learned about the library friends in the United States, people who love reading and libraries and donate books, toys, and board games and more. Are there Little Free Library friends who donate stuff to improve this movement?
Like people who donate to stewards, or do we know? Or like would donate to abroad, like for Kyrgyzstan or something?
No, I don't think so. That
just in general?
Yes. Are there Little Free Library friends who donate stuff to improve this movement? This was a question.
Well, there are people that support the Little Free Library organization and donate to them so that they can send libraries and books to places that don't have libraries. And then I think all of us, because everybody's very independent, the only thing that really connects us, I think, see if Sandy agrees, is that registering officially our libraries, because we all steward our libraries differently. So it's just the people that you know and the community you build around your library that helps support your library. Mostly it's something that you choose to do.
Mm.
Do you think that's right, Sandy?
Yeah. There is a place on the Little Free Library website to make donations. But yeah, I mean, once I met Carol, we stopped and visited them in Colorado on vacation once. So we've met people from around the country, and we've tracked down Little Free Libraries in Canada, in Quebec, and in Switzerland.
Great. Thank you very much. So we found one more Harry Potter fan. So
Woo!
I love Harry Potter, Chloe. That's one of my favorite books. I really do be loving Harry Potter books. So everyone loves Harry Potter.
Yeah, it's an awesome story.
Great. So we can ask the next question. What was the most unusual and fun design of little free libraries that you have seen?
Well, for me, I think I like that big tree trunk where they carved out into it and put a door in and shelves and created their library out of that tree. I wish I had done that. I have a dead tree in my yard that has a beehive in it. All the branches are gone. It's just a trunk with a beehive in it. And anyway, it's probably full of honey, though. There's probably no room for books. But I just think that's magical, that particular library.
I kind of like the one that we built with the dragon smog from The Hobbit on top. And there's a little window, and if you look through the window, there are Lego features of Gandalf and Frodo and Bilbo and Gollum with the little gold ring.
Wow.
So one thing you all can do if you're interested in little free libraries, if you go on, to Google or whatever search engine you use, and you put in little free libraries and then click on images, there are thousands of pictures. And it is so fun to see all the different ways people build them and decorate them. It's wonderful.
Yes. Yes, I saw many very interesting creative shapes, colors, decoration. So they're really amazing.
Yeah.
And if you like Instagram too, you can follow Little Free Library on Instagram, and they have some awesome posts. That's where I think I've seen some of the most amazing ones. And the ones that are book themed, I think someone else has a Harry Potter one, or the Doctor Who ones are pretty good too, with the police blue box. Those are pretty good. But that's just images, obviously, for Instagram, and they're really awesome.
So I think Free Little Library should be very practical, yes, and also at the same time be like beautiful. So
Yeah.
Yeah, they can be as simple as you want or as, far out and crazy as you want. There's no rule. That's what's so wonderful about it. Everybody does it their own way.
Yes. Thank you very much. So what is the exciting part of your job?
Oh, job?
What is the exciting part of your job?
I think it's being a steward, huh?
Yes.
Oh.
Just watching kids every day come and look at our library and take books or drop books off. It's just fun to see it being used.
Yeah. On the Little Free Library page where the stewards talk and share and get advice and everything, it's so fun. So many of the stewards, and remember, there's over 100,000 stewards now around the world. People stewards, Sandy and me and other people get so excited when somebody's at our library. People will peek out of their window to watch, and they'll take pictures of people at their library. I mean, it's so meaningful for people to share books and have their community embrace it and come visit and take a book and leave a book. That's the best part of being a steward, is getting books into the hands of our neighbors and friends in the community.
We've met a lot of people in our neighborhood that we didn't know through our Little Free Library.
Yeah.
Yes. I agree with you that it's very meaningful movement nowadays. Thank you very much for sharing this. So, and our next question, what is your favorite books?
Ooh.
Well, you know mine, Harry Potter, but
Which part, Chloe?
which one? Oh, all of them. No, book
Okay.
5, I think, is really good.
Five?
Yeah.
Well, my favorite children's book is The Phantom Toll Booth. It's got lots of puns and wordplay in it. It's now over 50 years old.
Great.
So for me, I think one of my favorite books is called The Power of One, and the author is Bruce Courtney. It's a coming of age story about a little boy growing up in South Africa, and he has a friend who's a professor who teaches him a lot of things, and his life is very complicated, and he meets a lot of interesting people. And World War II happens in the book, and so anyway, it's stuck with me ever since I read it, and it's an older book, but it's called The Power of One. It's one of my favorite books. It's on my top 10 list.
Great. Thank you very much, Carol. So this was our last question to be asked. So thank you very much, dear Sandy, Carol, Chloe, for being with us. We were happy to have you in our session. And also, I'm very grateful for our viewers who commented and asked questions. So thank you very much, everyone who participated in our session very actively. So, and I think it's time to say goodbye for everyone and have a great day for you.
Yeah.
Have a great
Thank you all.
for those who are in Kyrgyzstan. So thank you very much once again. It was really informative and meaningful conversation. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you for having
Thank
us.
you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.